All right, let's get it. What is up, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. And looks like we have the Remy. Not too late for you. How are you? Salud.
And we're live.
What's up?
And we're live.
Finally.
Yes, sir.
Derek, how are you, my man? Hey, Andy, looks like you got better Wi-Fi this time, my friend.
Yeah, it's humming right along. So I think we're good this time. Last time I was standing in the field in the mountains of Wyoming. Surprise, it didn't work. How you
Uh,
doing?
well, welcome. Happy Thursday. Tequila Talks, man. Finally, we made this happen. I know
Yes, sir.
been talking for a long time and for a lot of reasons that I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. Good things take a little longer, and finally the juice is here. It's stateside. You rolled out. You got a lot of buzz going on, and now you'll actually talk to me on camera versus just your annoying text messages and giving me shit about my workouts.
That's right. Well, hey, the real question, which glass are you using? Are you going Glencairn?
I am going with
Oh,
my
okay.
agave
Jarrito. The
brave
Jarrito.
Jarrito.
And
I've
what are you
got two
sipping on
gallons.
here? Lot one
You
or
know how
lot
it goes.
two?
You don't know what we're going to end up drinking.
And are you sipping on lot one or lot two? I want to join you here.
I have lot two in front of me right here.
Okay, lot two. I'm getting in there. But I don't have a Jarrito, so I'm going to Glencairn.
I like it. All right. So, well, guys, happy Thursday. All right. Good night, buddy.
Hey, what's up, bud?
Way past bedtime. Happy Thursday, Tequila Talks 33rd episode with my friend Andy Bardon from Wild Common, founder, Wild Common Spirits, Blanco Tequila. I've had it for a little while, and you can see there's
Oh,
a
you're
bit of a
holding
dent
good
in the
work. You
bottle.
haven't dented it too much. Good job.
So I held back, and you know what? Even though I posted last night, I was a good boy, and I actually didn't open either of these because I figured let's give a real live, uncensored reaction on our talk tonight.
Love it.
So look, guys, everyone is tuned in. Happy Thursday. Welcome. If it's your first time on my page, I hope you're going to enjoy our chat tonight. Tequila Talks, we've done a bunch of them. It's always more about the guests than it is the tequila. This time might be a little different just because of how long we've been waiting in anticipation for this specific tequila. But, if you have questions about Wild Common, if you have questions for Andy, if you have questions for me, it doesn't have to be tequila related. Literally, this is the time, right? This is unscripted. I was actually hoping to get kind of settled and have one or two drinks before we started, but life happens as you just saw, and this
Your
is the
son,
first
your
drink of the
son
night
had different
live with you
plans. Yeah,
guys.
this is my first drink as well. Lot two, cracking into it.
Salute. Thanks for joining.
Cheers.
So I kind of feel like someone who's got to, when you hear, about your
Oh yeah.
surprise party, but then you still got to act surprised because clearly by the dent in this bottle, I already like the juice, right?
Yeah, I like you. You messaged me. You're like, yeah, I'm mowing the lawn, and a box showed up. I'm just gonna drink it. It's 100 degrees out, but I'm just gonna drink it anyway.
So I think that video might still be up, but legitimately, that's how it happened. And I filmed it I was filming it on the phone, and I'm like, I don't care if the video is good or not, because this is real. And yeah, man, it's 104 degrees in Dallas. So the first time I sipped this lot two, it was probably the juice itself was probably about 80 degrees. It was definitely, I mean, if it could taste good at that temperature, you're pretty sure it's going to taste good at anything. It was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah. And have you run it side by side against lot one to taste the subtle differences between each batch?
So I wanted to save myself for you. I actually have lot one unopened behind me.
Oh. I'm guessing, okay, this is a guess. This is an inception. I'm not planting an idea in your mind and thinking it's yours. My guess is that you like lot one better.
Hmm.
Yeah. Just seeing your other reviews and the things that you like to drink, and I know you've got impeccable taste. I see all the bottles behind you. But you're gonna get some more floral notes out of lot one, some more citrus, and I think it's I don't want to say softer because it's still crisp and clean. But it's got just a little bit of an easier on ramp, whereas this I think like is just really like boom, agave from
Yeah,
the
a
valley
little bit more
through and
pepper on
through.
this from what you just described, but still floral notes, still citrus, still crisp and sharp. Really light finish, very light pepper, and like agave on the back end, which is delicious. I mean, like I said, I've genuinely, if anyone who's on here, one of the few people that have texted me over the last couple of days, they're like, they've had couple different tequilas in their cart on Sip Tequila, and they're like, should we go with Wild Common or X Tequila? And I'm like, if you haven't had the Wild Common yet, it's no brainer. Like
All right,
it's.
well, we got to go lot one now. You're getting everybody excited. You got to try
Well, hey,
lot one.
while
And
I crack that open and while I keep digging into this one, right? Tell everyone about yourself a little bit, right? Tequila Talks. I want to know more about the man behind the juice. I know when you and I have some chats off camera, it's always fun and entertaining. You know, maybe start. Let's go all the way back. Like, why tequila? How'd you end up? How'd you end up even being interested in tequila, let alone starting your own brand and going through that process? And while you kind of introduce yourself to everyone, I'm gonna not savor this lot number two because I have some catching up to do with where I wanted to be at this point in the conversation.
oh, they're definitely different.
Number one.
Sniff them side by side. They're definitely, you can definitely pick up the differences. Here, let me grab something. Hold on. So this is the September issue of National Geographic. And this has been my career for the last 15 years or so. I got a photograph in the newest issue. You'll have to keep your eyes peeled. I don't know if you can see it. It's a guy swimming under a wave at one of those most notoriously dangerous waves on Earth called Chopu in Tahiti. That's what I've been, say again?
I said it's a pretty cool photo. It's sweet.
Yeah, pretty incredible. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 15 years is storytelling and traveling around the world. And my background has been as a photographer. Then I also studied anthropology and psychology. So it's just always passionate and curious about other cultures, documenting them and telling stories. And through this very physical work, which we've actually connected about, that's how I found tequila, was just how it makes you feel. And so I sort of went down the rabbit hole a little while ago. And looked into shooting a story on sustainability in Mexico. Really wanted to go down the rabbit hole, figure out like who makes the cleanest, most sustainable spirits on earth. And there's a number of incredible brands, many of which I see behind you as well. And you know, thank you for highlighting so many different brands. But when I encountered the Rosales family at Cascoin, NOM 1123, I just fell in love with the place. I fell in love with the family, their story, their commitment to excellence. And I felt like there was a good marriage between me as a storyteller, them as a producer. Let's partner up. Let's rally. So I presented the idea to them. They loved it, and off we went. And then, of course, COVID happened, and you know we've actually grown like really close through all the hardships we've experienced together. I don't know if that makes sense, but as somebody who's experienced sport and done a lot of traveling, a lot of work, and you know you've lived all over the world, I think you can relate to that a little bit, that, you know, hardship, physical exertion, and or just difficulty in working with somebody through that creates a really deep bond. So we've been having a blast. We've come up with a beautiful tequila that's different than anything that they've ever made, which was really important to both of us. It has to be different, it has to be unique, while giving a nod to their family. And we've also committed to giving a shout out to their name on the front of the bottle. You know, Chava's up front and center on the front of the bottle, which is Salvador Rosales Trejo, the master distiller. And then on the back as well, we, you know, give transparency and honesty about the entire process, what's in it, how it's made, who made it, where it was made. And that's important. I think that's important. I think that's important to respect tradition, to respect culture, and to highlight the producers, because I think really they're the rock stars. You know, it's the raw material, the agave, and the producers. And that's the story.
I love it, man. So I have Love One cracked in front of me right here. First experience live on Tequila Talks. Everyone else is joining in. I saw Dustin.
Wow.
Dustin, I'm not going to call you out, but Dustin, about 30 minutes before this, was one of the ones who had another brand and Wild Common to fill up his basket. He asked me which one to go with.
Ah,
So Dustin, I promise
both.
if you don't
You should
like
get
it,
both,
if you
Dustin.
don't like my recommendation, send it over to me. I promise you I'll take care of it.
There's time
Lot
to
number
drink
one.
both. Yeah, lot one is different. I just opened a fresh bottle as well.
Very, very different.
Yes.
Like, impressively different. I definitely see what you talk about with the floral notes. It's sweeter and more floral, almost no pepper. And I guess my buds are going to be a little off because I just had that one, right? So I guess in relation to lot two, almost zero pepper. If this was my first sip of the night, I'd probably still pick up a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, that is super easy to drink. Really, really enjoyable.
Right?
Lot one is pretty good.
Why did we separate lots? Good question, Nick. Good question.
I was going to get there with all my notes that I've
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
We committed, and we're not the first to do this. Let's give credit where credit's due. Guillermo Erickson Salza from Fortaleza, Carlos Camarena, and Tomas Estes from Tequila Ocho have been highlighting unique terroir for years and years and years. We're not the first ones to do this. Let's, tell it like it is. But because we have a natural product, we're confirmed additive free. There are going to be subtle variations in the product. One of our products came from the valley floor. The other one grew on the side, very, very steep hillside of a volcano, very distressed conditions. You just get different flavors. And for me, that's just fun. It's fun to compare them side by side. I actually did a tasting with a friend down in Ajijic, Mexico, a woman named Remy Newland. I don't know if you've met Remy before. But just an incredible palate, great friend, awesome woman.
Never in person, but we know each other through the tequila space.
Oh, she's great. Yeah. And so we set up Fuente Seca Concecha 2018 and 2013, and we tried them side by side. And it was so much fun, pulling out the subtle differences. And
look,
I just like that it's a natural product. And
community, those are some of the most respected blancos, right? I mean, you regularly see those on people's top 10 lists, right? People that are renowned for their tequila palates.
But I think what the Rosales family has done here is just beautiful. I mean, very minimal filtration. We can get into process a little bit. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's dripping off the inside of the glass like honey. I don't know. You probably can't see it. But just the legs on this thing, I mean, it's literally like honey just dripping down the inside. So very minimal filtration. And we'll find out come November, December, if it gets cloudy when it gets cold. I bet it does because it's a natural product. But we didn't want to chill filter it. We didn't want to run it through a bunch of filtration. We wanted like the oils, the esters, the fats, the flavors, just an honest expression of agave, an honest expression of terroir. And that's exactly what we've got.
Well, dude, again, on the tequila itself, congratulations. Really, really good. I'll give you a little, before I say what I'm about to say, I'll let you know that this is always subject to change. But as we are right here on August 12th sitting, might be my favorite Blanco at this point in time, right?
I'm gonna tell Chava and Don Salvador, his father. They'll be pleased.
You gotta tell him quick because it might change next week. But I'm telling you right now, this stuff's absolutely phenomenal. I have a lot of tequila behind me, and there's a reason I put that much of a dent in this in a week. So
good, yeah.
Really, really enjoyable. I love the tequila. Honestly, though, I mean, I enjoy our conversations from years back, right? When you were just first starting out on this and how you found tequila, and you dove into it a little bit here, but you're an athlete, right? And former athlete, and I think you and I share the part where we kind of found tequila through different ways. But the first thing that really caught our attention was kind of the same thing. And it was how my body felt after drinking only clean tequila for a night or for a day or whatever it was versus I'm a social guy. Before Tequila and I got together, it was a little bit of everything and a few beers with the boys and,
You were
you
dating
know,
around.
drinks after a game of water polo. And then maybe you go out and it turns into cocktails and maybe a bit crazier. And the next thing there's some shots in there. And, you know, you would have hangovers. And the first night I drank just tequila, I could not believe the next day. I mean, I felt a little not myself, but I'm like, I should be like out for the day and I feel fine. I think I'm going to go to the gym. And that was
Right.
it for 7 or 8 years ago. Never
And
looked back.
there are some physiological reasons why your body actually does treat it differently, and we don't have to get super geeky on it. I'm not making health claims. I'm not saying it's healthy, but there are some physiological reasons why if you Google around about it, and I found it really, really interesting. And that was my beginning of the journey too. I was working in Yosemite National Park, climbing on the side of El Capitan, and in Nepal and Mount Everest and all these big mountains, and I injured my body. And I just became really, really acutely aware, like you said, as I was healing of, how this made me feel versus a glass of wine, glass of beer, and just fell totally in love. And then the other part of me, the intellectually curious part, uh, you know, the anthropologist, I guess it were, just wanted to go to Mexico selfishly.
Yeah.
And so I went and, went down the rabbit hole, fell in love with the culture, in love with the people. Been so many times, I can't even count how many times my passport's been stamped down there. And I'm just in love. And, for me, it's a privilege to represent this family and to share these spirits because I think there's still such a long way to go in terms of educating consumers about what traditional tequila can be.
Yeah. So let me ask you about that, right? And I told you this wasn't going to be a layup session with easy questions and just giving you
It's
a
not a
platform to
gotcha
talk.
show either, though.
I had this conversation with someone the other day that might be watching here. I'm well aware that there's a lot of people that still are uneducated on the spirits, but what is your feeling on what people even give a shit about what's in their spirits? And let me give you my thoughts on it first, and you can tell me if you agree, disagree, whatever it is. I think there's a demographic of people that even once they're educated, don't really care. They drink to not think about something, to get drunk, to serve a purpose. They want the cheapest, quickest, easiest way to do that. They're not going to be your demographic. And so the tequilas that have billboards on the side of the highway are normally going to be the best bet for them, right? Um, how how much of a market do you think, or a demographic do you think there is for traditionally made, artisan, additive free spirits like what we're drinking right now?
I mean, I think there's two components, two answers that I think are important to tease out. There, one first is foremost is the preservation of culture, and that is a motivating force. Where if the bulk of the globe thinks that tequila should taste like X, that has a bunch of stuff in it that doesn't taste like agave, that's a problem. If it doesn't respect traditional practices and culture of Mexico and honor that culture, that's a problem. Just from like an
Sure.
anthropology perspective. So I would say that's one. And then two, over the last year, I think we have seen a big shift in consumer spending and the recognition of personal responsibility for health, specifically through COVID. Whether you're a masker, not mask wearer, whether you're a vaxxer, not vaxxer, people globally for the first time have been brought together to acknowledge, and we talk about this all the time,
Yeah.
you have to stay, like motion is lotion. You have to keep moving. You have to stay fit. You have to get good sleep. That's the basis of wellness. And I think as people are spending more money on specifically seltzers, you like motion is lotion, don't you?
No,
Specifically,
I'm already thinking about what that's going to look like on a Speedo, on the back of my Speedo.
oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
But specifically like the boom in seltzers with like 0 calories and
Yeah.
it's a lighter option. The growth of the organic food movement, you see
Yeah.
fair trade coffee. I mean, I think it's going like this. I agree with you that this particular product isn't for everybody, but if we can change people's perception about what spirits can be, and I think it delivers in spades on the palate. I don't think I know. I know it delivers in spades on the palate. And so when you try that versus a more industrial product, you say, well, I'm drinking at home more because we're not going out as much because yada, 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 COVID. I think there's a sweet spot there. I really do.
Well, look, so I don't talk about this a lot on these lives, right? But I've helped a handful of brands that have been starting out with, for lack of a better term, consulting, right? And I know I get to taste a wide variety of different tequila brands. I get access to a lot of brands and tequilas that maybe a lot of people don't, that are still starting out. They're only in a particular area, only available in one particular region. And the first question I ask people when we're doing, I've been down to places, I've been doing tastings, and they're trying to work out what their profile is. And now this is kind of I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but I'm kind of looking down into it.
Right, but that's also how the industry works, and it's very much a legal practice.
They'll have some samples, right? And this is not how 1123 operates. This is not how you and Shava went through this process. And I'm hoping we get to that, right? But you're at a distillery, and you're at a distillery that still uses what is considered relatively traditional methods, right? We're not talking diffuser, mass-produced tequilas, but they're contract brands, and they're making a lot of tequila. And because they don't have control over their ingredients, they don't have control over their agave, they're kind of trying to just get their agave for wherever they can get it for the cheapest.
Right.
Get a middle-of-the-ground product before you add some vanilla flavor and some color and some caramel or what it is, right? Long story short, I've been with people where we're sitting there and, what do you think about this one? Well, I wish it was a bit more vanilla. And, so some gets added and mixed and they work out. Well, what do you think about that profile? They're trying to come to a profile for their tequila. The reason I'm even talking about this, I always say this. Who are you trying to sell this to? Is it the sorority girl at college who just wants to get drunk on the weekend? Or are you selling it to someone like you and I who's going to sit here drinking it at room temperature out of a crystal glass, sniffing it, savoring the taste?
Now, I think you do a good job of not using very divisive language and welcoming people into the category with wherever they're at. And I think that's unique because a lot of people will poo-poo anybody who doesn't have expert knowledge in this and that. And it's like, look, we all start somewhere. And I think you've done a great job on your platform of highlighting very traditional producers, but also being accepting of people coming in saying, look, I'm new to the category. What do you recommend? Just like you said, people are messaging you. What do you recommend? You're put them both in the cart, try them side by side. And I think that's important. I really do, because, price sensitivity is real. Budget matters. And, if you want to go with a $30 bottle, there are better options in that category. Cascoin, the Blanco, House Blanco is a great example of that. Arete, it's a solid product. The Cascoin Green Label, yeah. Do you have one?
Right there.
Yeah, for $30, $36, no brainer. That's a roller mill product, very traditional, mature agave, no additives, and it kicks butt. I mean, you can sip it, you can mix it, whatever you want to do. And I think for people to enter into a community, which you've built, and you're continuing to build, and steer people in different directions a little bit through like supportive, positive language, I mean, that's what's up. I think that's awesome.
Well, dude, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. It was a very nice, nice compliment. At the end of the day, I'll say this, all right? Just because someone loves X brand that's, got whoever celebrity's name on it and face, and it's marketed with them driving motorcycles through agave fields that were there for 15 minutes and all that type of stuff. Just because you're drinking that doesn't mean your journey on tequila is ever going to go the direction mine went and you're going to end up savoring this. So,
right.
I want people to know about this, and guess what? We're fucking doing it right now, right? I'm taking time out of my night.
Yeah.
I don't love talking.
And look, my job as a storyteller is, holding this up. I mean, that's my job. I'm a storyteller. I'm going to tell the story of the producers, where it's from, highlight them through media. It's been challenging with COVID, not going to lie. But I mean, that's the deal, tell their stories, do it honestly, and have a good time doing it.
Yeah. And so look, my point was, right, you and I could easily do this on a Zoom or a FaceTime without doing it on IG Live, right?
Right.
The reason we do these, it's really no different. Our conversations would be pretty similar to this.
Well, hey,
But
should we? And I know it's kind of crual because nobody else can get this, but should we crack the reposado? There's one or two people who I've seen join who've tried it. Most have not. And we'll probably run out of time. I don't know if there's like a 45-minute limit or something.
I don't think Instagram has those limits on it anymore. But I'll tell you what,
Oh, thanks, Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm
Thank
in no
you
rush
for
to get
giving us
off.
more freedom.
We'll agree that if it does kick us off at 60, we'll just hop back on. How's that sound?
Cool. Yeah, so this loves time to breathe. And so if we sip it now, set it aside and come back to it in 10 minutes, and I don't want to say it's a different animal, but it'll open up even more.
All right.
So let's pour a little bit. And I can talk through it. So this is the House Blanco that Wild Comet is now producing, which is a combination of roller mill and Tahona. We ferment with agave fibers in large concrete tanks for about half of our product. The other half gets fermented in stainless steel without agave fibers. And we blend them together. And so because of the Tahona roller mill blend, I think we kind of get the best of both worlds. We get agave sweetness, we get minerality, we get just so much citrus. And then the roller mill, I think, actually pops the citrus even higher. And it gives some of what I think is just like the Valley traditional white pepper and the crispness, green apple, mandarin. But like the flinty minerals, some of the, they call it petrichords, the smell of rain on asphalt in the summertime, like the wet concrete smell that you get. I don't want to call it dirt, but you get that from the Tahona. So we basically take that product, exactly what we just drank, and then we put it into Buffalo Trace barrels for 100 days and 100 nights. Say that just for drama. And then it comes out at 43% ABV. So most repos are at 40%, and that means that water's been added to it. This comes in at 43% ABV, and that was Chava's decision, and he's the master distiller. I mean, he calls the shots. So I'm going to pour a little bit with you, and we can give it a sniff.
Yeah, so I've got it in the glass. I'll let it air out for a little bit.
We can get into it right away. I'm just saying, if you come back to it in 10 minutes, it's a different beast. I mean, it's lightly aged, straw in color. Let's get your tasting notes before I just bang on about it.
Yeah, that is definitely something I love in any tequila, right? That white pepper part of the profile is, I know it's not for everyone. I personally really enjoy that. I feel like the longer my day's been, the more pepper I want in my profile at the end of the day. But yeah, that is really good.
Yes, sir. I mean, you get agave, it's agave forward and, very light in color. I mean,
sure.
It's hay colored almost.
Yeah, look, I talk about that all the time, right? When we do these tastings and that type of thing, right? There's, when you work with traditional producers like Chava, or you work with Carlos, or you work with Felipe, or you work with, a handful of the other guys that are considered, if you want to call them the celebrities, it's a bad word because people are going to get confused. But of the tequila world, those are the real celebrities, right?
They are the legends for sure.
A repo often needs a second look to make sure it's not completely a Blanco, right? It shouldn't be the color of whiskey. If it's aged 3 or 4 months, look, even if you give someone the benefit of the doubt and you say you're not adding anything into that, I don't know how fresh and wet those barrels would need to be to get a repo in 4 months to the color of a whiskey. It kind of doesn't make sense, right? And so, drinking with Felipe when he came into town last was pretty
I saw photos of that. That looked like a blast.
Always, right? And so it's a funny story because, the friend who was connecting us was like, oh yeah, we'll be at this place at this time. And, I'm busy. I'm not trying to brag on it, but I got a lot of shit going on, right? And it's like, it's kind of hard for me midweek to go out to a restaurant.
Yeah, but it's Felipe. You got to go. You got to go.
And so
you got to go. You're the tequila wanderer.
So I'm following out there. I'm like, okay, he's going to be at this spot. I know there's going to be a handful of other people that are tequila lovers that are going to come to, or are going to be there to hear him and talk with him and have a drink. And I'm thinking, well, I hope I get a little bit of time to chat to him one-on-one and it's not crazy. And I'm walking up the stairs to get to this restaurant. And there's like a a guy that just walked out the front door by himself. There's no one outside. It was dead quiet to have a cigarette. And I'm walking up and it's Felipe. And I'm like, sweet. So he sees
Wow.
me, we say hi. We had like a 30-minute, I think people were wondering if he disappeared on his cigarette break because we were out there for like 35 minutes just talking about everything. But, Felipe, the reason I bring it up is I love what he keeps saying. He said, like, he has had reposados that, like, the people that ultimately are responsible for branding and that and his family and everything have gone, like, we can't sell this. It like, they would hold up the Blanco and then hold up his Repo and they're the same fucking color. Like, we can't sell this. He ages them so lightly and the barrels are so fatigued. But, like, we need some differentiation on the shelf because even the purist is going to look at those and go, wait, something's wrong over here, right?
Yeah, well, to his credit, he doesn't budge. And there's something to be said for that. I mean, we committed to making a lightly aged product, and I think G4 Repo is a great example of another one. Of course, it's Highlands Agave. Yes, exactly. Yeah, Highlands Agave. So it's going to be a little bit different, period. But we set out to create something really light, and when we tried it at 2 months, it just wasn't there. When we tried it at 2.5, 3 months, I was like, look, Chava, you get to call the shots here, brother. Like, I mean, your name's on the front of the bottle, and this is a reflection of, your family and the Valley terroir. You get to call the shots. And so it was like 99 days and a half. And he was like, it's done. And, later on that, day, so about 100 days or something.
We'll round up.
Yeah, no, he pulled it. He's like, we're done. We're good. It's good to go. And I mean, I get a ton of, and it's softening it's in my glass now. I'm getting like some caramel. I get a little bit of chocolate, a tiny bit, a little bit of like coffee, and then I get cinnamon, like lots of cinnamon.
I was just about to say, I get cinnamon on the back end of it. And
yeah,
again, right, just for those that aren't maybe so clued up, right, those are not natural profiles that you would find in a Blanco tequila, right?
correct.
So all of those.
Neither is vanilla, Nick. Neither is vanilla.
It is not. Believe it or not, for most people out there, vanilla is not something that comes out of the agave plant. So
true story.
All those little subtleties that we're talking about, right, are product of the barrels that it's aged in, and that's why the Repo has a little bit of caramel, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of a different, if you want to call it, it's the same main base product with a different outfit on.
Okay, so here's a curveball for you. Now come back to lot 2 if you have it, because that's the base.
No, I dug lot 2. That's gone.
Oh, it's gone. Well, lot 2 is the base. And so as lot 2 brings a little bit of citrus and some anise to the party, I feel like you can tell they're related. It's so much fun.
So, again, that's absolutely true, right? Like, so Carlos has it down, right? Hearing him talk about tequila is one of my funnest things. And by the way, him and Fanny in 2 weeks will be up here. They'll be like the next tequila talk. So you're preceding a pretty tough crowd.
Wow.
But I love
legend.
I've heard Carlos say it 100 times, right? And I love how he describes that, the tequila is the artwork, the Blanco, the base product, the purest form, and then everything else is the frame, right? And so your frame adds to the whole experience, but it doesn't overwhelm. You notice the frame makes it different, but the focus is still what the artwork that's in the middle there. And if you take all the expressions of a Tapatio, you take all the expressions of a certain estate of Tequila Ocho, if one is very peaty and citrus and, white peppery, the Repo, even though it's different, it's going to have little hints of different things. You can still see that base. It's very clearly still the same base that's just been altered a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is such a beautiful analogy, and I don't know where you heard that from him, but man, that nails it. I mean, the agave is the star of the show.
Dude, I have like one YouTube video on YouTube because I just lost interest and it's way too much time to be on 10 different platforms. But
And
Carlos is
have children
valid.
and a full-time job and
Yeah, and and two soon to be three little monsters.
oh, congratulations. Hey, cheers to that, man.
I'm
Shoot.
slowly working out what causes it. I've narrowed it down to
Wow.
like 3 or 4 things. So I think we're
It
on
might be
to
wild coming. Might be wild coming.
it. Actually, I probably know the brand that's responsible for half of it, but yeah. Carlos says it's part of his, I hate saying sales pitch, but it's part of when he talks about it. And I don't think there's any other analogy that explains how aged tequila should be
Right.
in a traditional form than that. And, I go back to, guys, if you're listening to this, and you've been on my page for a long time, you've heard this story, I apologize, you're going to hear it again, right? But I had an idea of what aged tequila should be, and they were the whiskey colored, very vanilla, very caramel, heavy laced with additive tequilas. And El Tesoro 70th anniversary that I posted about just a week ago or so, one of Carlos's tequilas, that was the first time where I was like, wait a minute, like I'm drinking these things that are this color, they're aged 3 years. You're telling me this thing, which is barely darker than your repo, is aged 7 years. Like I don't understand. And then tasting it for the first time, I could taste the tequila product in the base, right? I could taste the agave, the pepper, the earth. But at the same time, there was light floral and light fruit and light vanilla and little hints of caramel and little hints of cinnamon. And it was every time you sipped it, you noticed something different. That was the tequila that changed the game for me. It was
Awesome.
the first time that I realized that an aged tequila, even 7 years aged, if done properly, still pays homage to the base product, which is that agave forward Blanco that it started as. And
wow,
so,
man, it's cool to hear your journey too. You don't always like get the insight into the wanderer.
anyway, so that was it, right? That's why it's kind of dear to my heart. It's one of my favorite tequilas all time. It still is. I don't drink a lot of it because they only made so much of it in 2007, and when it's gone, it's gone. And so I savor it for special occasions. But that was the one that opened my eyes to, whoa, this is what an aged tequila could be, right? It was beautiful. It was an experience. And anyway,
Well, and honestly, what you just said about like when it's gone, it's gone. That's another reason that I wanted to put the lot numbers on. And the Rosales family is in full agreement about this. When it's gone, it's gone. It's these are really small batches, and they are limited edition, and so get it, or it's gone forever, and it'll be different every time. But I really like that, and I think it makes it feel a little bit more special. And it's not like wine where you get a harvest every year. I mean, these plants take 6 or 8 years to grow, and we use.
I know it. I've shown you my photos.
Yeah, I mean, we use very, very mature agave. I mean, we would be hard pressed, you and I see your guns over there. I see your guns, but you and I would be very hard pressed to pick up these pinas on our own. I mean, they average over 55 kilos, which is, well over 100 pounds. I mean, you have to like bear hug onto this thing, and it's massive. And so I just think it's so special and so fun to respect the natural world, respect the limited edition nature of these smaller batch products, and just to have fun with it, Talk story and sip with people. Like, that's what's up.
Yeah. So, hey, to anyone who just joined or joined since our last kind of update on what you're looking at, welcome again to the regulars. Thank you. I know I normally wait till the end to say this, but I don't want to forget, right? This page is only as good as you guys who follow it, who interact, who send me messages, who like the posts, who share your experiences. Without it, it's just me blabbering in front of a screen, and it really is all about you. So thank you. Thanks to you guys.
At least he's good looking, folks. At least he's good looking.
And
he's got an awesome shirt on. Look at that.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. The shirt, I probably went one size too small. But
you might need a large. You might need a large.
So we'll go with it. I can't wear it in public, but on screen, it looks great.
Perfect.
Out in the real world, I kind of look like I'm walking around like this, but we'll live with it.
Well, it looks pretty good. I like it. Turns out I like it.
Ah, look at
Well,
that.
we've got a number of other projects going on, and not to bang on too hard about our brand, but we do have a number of other projects going on that we're really proud of. Down in Jalisco, Mexico, we've partnered with an NGO named Mazante. A gentleman named Pedro Jimenez runs it, as well as a nonprofit in the U.S. Called Sacred, based out of Chicago, a guy named Lou Bank. And so we've committed over the next handful of years, shoot a decade plus, to build a number of greenhouses all over the state of Jalisco to help save endemic agaves, and also to help start Blue Weber agave from seed. And for those of you listening who don't know, many agaves are clones, which allows them to be susceptible to blights. They're not adapting to climate change because they're not being started from seed. And so we've pushed really hard, and this was pre-revenue, we've pushed really hard on some sustainability initiatives that we're really proud of. And we're making it from recycled glass, we're using natural cork, we're using real wood, and all of that stuff. Like I get back to the natural product is out of respect for the natural product, the land, and the people. So stay tuned, because we've got a bunch more stuff coming up. I can't get into too much of it, but we've got some exciting projects coming up that we're going to be able to drink soon.
Dude, I love it. I'll drink to that. Salute to you,
Yes.
my friend. This stuff is delicious. Thank you. Look, the goal is, I think, the little podcast I did with you, I don't know how long ago, right? Like, I think you've noticed, and anyone who's listened to any of these lives, right? The further we get into them, the more fun they get, because now at this point,
I wonder why, Nick.
I'm about 5 tequilas in, right? It's a little more fun. We spoke a lot about the brand, and so I want to make sure. Look, again, guys, Wild Common Spirits.
Oh wait, let's do it. Let's bring it right in.
We'll get one more cheap plug, right?
Yeah,
guys, really a phenomenal product, Andy. Outside of me really enjoying talking to you and having you on here, the tequila is great, right? At some point, I'm gonna
it's
have
quality
to wait
banter, though. It's quality banter.
like Wild Common right now, but give it a little bit of time. I can just give you guys, ruining the surprise, this will be a tequila of the week at some point soon. Again, I just said, right, at this point in time, might be my favorite Blanco. So Wild Common Spirits,
wow,
definitely go get it if you can. Get your hands on it. Every lot's going to be unique, right? So it's one of those things where get them while they're there. Once it's gone, it's gone. But
where can I get it, Nick? Good question. Good question. Thank you for chiming in the comments. Where can I get it, Nick?
Where can we get it, Andy?
Siptequila.com.
And I just
Sip Tequila has just been such a great,
in my bio, guys. So
they've been such a great partner, and they get it to you quickly, packaged properly, shows up at your door, hassle free. It's frictionless. It's been just a great relationship for sure. We will be expanding into stores.
Amazon for tequila. I don't know how to describe it to people, right?
Exactly.
I was in a randomly just found myself in a chat on Facebook the other day, in one of these tequila enthusiast pages, right? And generally, I just scroll through them and ignore, because generally it's a bunch of people making fun of anyone who likes Casamigos,
right?
Or people's recommendations are just so unoriginal. It's the same 5 fucking brands that they just keep talking about.
You do so well, though. I watch you respond. That's what I'm talking about. I watch you respond, and you don't see that I know, like whatever. You don't see that I see this, but I watch you respond.
Wait, you got Kevin Durant's burner accounts on tequila pages?
No, but you always respond, and it's you. Like, clearly it's you, but you respond, and you're like, hey, I respect that you like that. That's awesome. Have you tried X, Y, and Z? You can get them here. It's like, wow, this guy's like really kind of opening some doors, and like, you're the antithesis of, the people who are just like, you don't know good tequila, get out of here. You're like, no, like, come on in, and like, let me show you a couple of things. I got this El Tesoro that you're talking about, the one that changed your life. There's Fortaleza. I'm looking at Tequileño behind you. There's all these amazing recommendations. It's so much fun.
But most importantly, right, at the end of the day, if you try all those things that I say and you still prefer the maple syrup tequila, then drink the fucking maple syrup tequila. Like, it's your life. I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't drink, right? I want to expose you to everything. I want to share with you why I like said tequila. But at the end of the day, if you like that versus this, who the hell am I to tell you like you're wrong? Don't comment on things. Don't come to this page. At the end of the day, you know, I have a friend who told me once, and he said, in his very broken English, he said to me, "We have a saying in Mexico: the best tequila there is the one you enjoy drinking the most." Doesn't get more true than that, right?
Right.
And I'm generally pretty friendly and very just accepting of everyone's views. But every now and then I get pushed a little bit too far. My biggest argument to these experts and these enthusiasts that are just like hardline, there's no way anyone who drinks anything but these few brands should be even spoken to. My comment is like, no, again, this is the 6 tequilas talking, right? And I'm a little bit unfiltered, which is why we
But
do.
there's really one. It starts with an F that everybody bangs on about, and it's amazing. But I think you do a really good job of welcoming people in. So cheers to that, man.
Salute to you. Here's my argument with that. I was that person who drank 1942 at the nightclub when the champagne ran out at the table. And I was that person who, when I sipped Fortaleza, thought it tasted like earth and dirt that someone had picked up off the sidewalk.
And now you love it. Now you love it.
Like 9 or 10 years ago, right? And so now I almost never drink anything else other than tequilas with traditional profiles, right? And I sip on them. But what people don't understand is if someone had bashed what I liked back then, I probably would have had no interest in even going further down this rabbit hole, right? I never would have learned about the culture behind tequila. I never would have, you know, my stupid analogy is tequila was that girl that walked in the bar and, you know, what she looked like physically was what got you interested in the first place.
Right.
For me, that was how my body felt after drinking tequila. But what really made you fall in love is all the other stuff.
But I think your name, like even your name, like the Tequila Wanderer, like it implies that it's been a journey. It implies that you've actually been to the place which you have. You've actually gone to tequila multiple times. And I think that's really cool. I think that's very fitting because it is a journey and it changes over time. You know, the back of our bottle actually says, you know, and I know it's backwards or whatever because of Instagram, but this bottle was a journey, and we tell a little story there. And like I said, I think it's cool that you welcome people into the journey and you say, look, I see where you're at. I psychologically know where you're going to go once you fall in love with this stuff. Let's roll.
So
it's a good time.
I don't want to just drum tequila and additives and production that the whole night, but I want to say one more thing.
Should we try the mezcal? Speaking of which.
Oh, look what I found.
Oh, you are like, I think you're actually the only person north of the border that has that product in your
The only person
house.
north of the wall.
Right. That was never built. Never mind.
Well, that was real. I wasn't actually thinking like that. It was more of a Game of Thrones reference. As soon as I said it, I realized where it was going to
go. So we're procuring a mezcal and highlighting another family from a very different region, a very different culture. This is from Oaxaca, a different state, far, far away, maybe 18-hour drive, 20-hour drive from Jalisco. And this is the Velasco family. So this is Joel Velasco. And
that smells so freaking good.
Yes, sir. So this is an ensemble, also known as a mezcla, which is a blend of 2 different types of agave endemic to his region. And we as a brand, I know I was banging on a little bit about our sustainability initiatives, but we've got even more going on down here, which is more greenhouses. We're only working with cultivated agave, which I think is important as a gringo, here I am, a gringo-owned brand. I think it's important that we work with cultivated agave and allow the wild agave to be owned, produced, and highlighted by Mexican producers. So this is a blend of Espadin and Tobola, both of which are fantastic agaves. You're going to get Espadin on the front end. Tobola, for me, comes in on the back end. I'll let you be the judge again. No
So
inception on flavor profile, but
I
46%
brought
ABV.
3 or 4 glasses for a reason, right? I knew it would go.
Yeah, there you go. Very traditional product. This is Mezcal Artisanal. So it's actually a class. There's Mezcal, Mezcal Artisanal, and Mezcal Ancestral. All three have different requirements in the denomination of origin by the CRM. This falls right in the middle. You can see the oil just falling off the glass here.
Yeah, I had to explain to someone the other day that my post talking about the legs on the glass, I realized my knee was in the picture, and I'm like, I'm not talking about my legs. It's the tequila.
Wow. So good. Joel Velasco, San Luis Del Rio, 46% ABV. Fermentation with fibers, very traditional product. It's agave from his land, and for every agave picked, we give him a baby to be planted.
Baby agave. Let's just be clear over here.
Correct. It's like a what? Yeah, no, but it's like a one.
We're not swapping humans for agave.
No, it's a 1-for-1 thing, and we've got some other sustainability initiatives coming along, down the road that I can get into on the next podcast. We just have to do one in person. I think I should come down. We should do it in person.
I told you I have a guest room.
I know. I'm aware.
You'll really enjoy Texas. We're a pretty cool state. The judge in Dallas overruled the governor yesterday and decided he was going to make a mandatory mask mandate. And I can just tell you from my experience today, going to about 3 department stores, 1 Home Depot, 2 coffee shops, a pharmacy, and a number of other places. Pretty much everyone went, just fuck off and leave us alone.
Yeah, not gonna work. Not gonna work well in Texas. What do you think? What do you think?
This is phenomenal stuff. I don't drink a ton of mezcal. I'm getting more and more into it. People ask me why I don't, and I say I only have this much time, and I have tequila in my title.
Right.
Gotta say somewhat, right? Hi, Jace. Welcome. Thanks for joining. But it's just really, really good, right? And I think anyone who's on here that actually enjoys the Ochos, the Cascawins, the Torreltas, those type of tequilas, like, this is a must. I'm not trying to just say this because you're on here. You have to have this. You have to try these. Like, it's part of what you just, I know all of you have Fortaleza because you have to have it. This is just don't take this the wrong way. This is going to be on that list of fucking 6 that the people can't stop talking about.
Right.
This is going to be one of those, right? At the same time, I can't wait to have friends over here and have them experience this.
Yes.
And explain to them why this tastes different to the Don Julio that they maybe like, right? Or the Patron, which is still relatively clean, but it's sells 3 million cases a year, right?
And look, my job as a storyteller is to make that easy for you. I mean, I see myself essentially as a bridge between 2 cultures. And on the front of our bottle, we've got this icon right here. And this is a red-tailed hawk, which is endemic native to Wyoming. But in the wintertime, it migrates down to Mexico, and it lives in northern Mexico. And for me, I thought that was a great representation of something that physically ties the 2 places together.
Yeah.
We also have a big eye on it, which is kind of like a third eye right in the middle of it. And that's a nod to honesty and transparency. And that's in process, in production, in who made it and where it's from, the whole deal. Our whole deal is like transparency, which I've been banging on to you about for, years now. But my job is to tell their story, man. It's to connect 2 places. I'm just literally a bridge between 2 cultures. And the more you travel, and I know, being from South Africa, you've been all over the world, you've had wild experiences. You need to write a book, damn it, about growing up in the bush. I'm telling you. But, it's a privilege for me to tell their stories. And so when you have people over, when you're storytelling, I'm going to give you some ammo. And I want to make it really, really easy for you because that's like the DNA of the brand. That's who we are.
So listen, guys, Wild Common, you're going to hear more about it when I finally feature this as the Tequila of the Week. Andy, you guys did a great job. Shava, as everything I've featured on my page that you've produced. Congratulations again. So you knocked it out the park.
Now I'm gonna throw you a curveball here. He has something coming out soon, and I can't give too many details on it. Somebody who's joined, actually two people who've joined, know what it is.
Oh,
He
I know what it is. You don't have to tease me with it.
he's got something coming out soon that will literally blow your mind. I mean, I think I'm unequivocally saying it's the best tequila I've ever had, for sure, hands down,
Wow.
hands down.
It's a big call.
Rosales Family Specials coming out. Stay tuned. It is incredible. Cascoin NOM 1123. If you're on Tequila Matchmaker and following along with the Cascoin products, get excited. I mean, it is beyond beautiful.
So remember, right? I don't know who's on right now. I can see how many people are on, but I can't see everyone, right? And everyone's in a different place in their tequila journey, right? So for those of you that are still starting out and new, when we say NOM 1123, we're referring to the NOM number on every single bottle of tequila, right? Which designates where it is produced, the distillery that is produced most of the time. Let's just not go down that road. But in this 1123 designates that it is produced at distillery Cascoin. And so when we say 1123, that's what we're talking about, right? And so any tequila you pick up at your local bar or on your shelf should have an NOM number on it that translates back to that place of origin, right? Look, love the tequila. Everything's great. But this is Tequila Talks. It's not all about the tequila. I want more questions for you.
Yeah, grill me. Go ahead. Hit me.
I was planning on getting a rapid fire, like 10 questions for you.
Again, are there
comments?
Are there comments coming in, or did you get some from? Because I saw you posted something.
I got some questions over the course of the week, but they're all
nothing's off limits. How about that? Nothing is off limits.
I tell
Full
people
transparency.
every time we do this, there's nothing off limits, right? You can't offend me. Anything is open for discussion. But I will say this: if you guys have questions, ask them right now. And I'm going to start this off. It doesn't have to be about tequila.
Wow.
Photographer for National Geographic, dude. Your stories, your non-tequila stories, I can guarantee you can take up 3 or 4 sessions on this type of format. But
honestly, I'm lucky to have survived some of the stories that I have to tell.
All right, so let's start there.
It's been wild.
Okay, let's go. Let's start there. The closest you've ever been to dying?
Was being buried in an avalanche.
Where, when, how?
How is because clearly the slope broke underneath me. There was a poor judgment call on my part, being somebody who worked as a professional mountain guide for a number of years. And yeah, I was fully buried, had snow actually, pushed down my throat past my Adam's apple, which is quite uncomfortable. And we wear these devices that, they're about, I don't know, this is the, what's it called? The headphone thing. They're like 2 of these long. It's called a transceiver, and you wear them on your body. Yep. And it emits a radio signal so people can find you. And so if you get buried, everybody says, okay, beep, 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 let's go find him. And they turn theirs on. And so my friends used their radio transmitting avalanche beacons to find me, and they dug me out with shovels because I was buried underneath the snow and asphyxiating, choking to death.
Good.
That was a wild one.
So where was that?
That was in the Teton Mountains of Wyoming. And then I've had, some other experiences that were life-affirming and jarring and everything else in Nepal on Mount Everest. I went over there to shoot a feature story for National Geographic. And it was heavy. There were a number of deaths that year, and you're climbing well above 20,000 feet, in very thin air, crossing these big, like, what are called seracs, and crevasses.
Well, yeah,
seracs are hanging above you.
I'm shit scared of heights, so like even the first, like even to get to base camp on Everest walking over those. No, I'm out. Like done. Game
Well,
over.
base camp is 17,500 feet.
Yeah.
So you're sucking wind just getting there. And then it was a 85-day expedition, and I took 3 showers and slept in a tent for 85 days. And so when people are like, okay, well, like, like, is this hard? Like, are you gonna quit? You're like, no. Like, no, like we're gonna roll, like we're gonna build a brand here. We're gonna honor the results, man. We're gonna honor our partners. Like, I'm not gonna quit. Like, are you
Okay.
joking?
So
Like,
I just want to put like a 10-second disclaimer in here. Anyone who tuned in just to hear about how the tequila was produced and how the profile is and how it's floral and spicy
they
and
totally missed out.
yeah, you guys can leave. This is where I was hoping to be when I started this, but I just didn't have time to drink beforehand. So
Right.
this is where we are, right? On that subject, I was just having this conversation with a friend yesterday, and he asked me about where I was from and how I grew up, and was confused about whether I spoke Afrikaans or English.
What's your accent? What's your accent? I don't
Yeah.
know your accent.
Well, I explained to the guy, it's like, look, I speak Afrikaans as a second language because we had to take a second language in high school. And I always joke, right? The high school I went to in South Africa was pretty much just pumping out like 18-year-old versions of James Bond. Like, we had to play every sport. We had to speak 3 languages. You had to take a musical instrument. Everyone, like, even if you were the smartest nerd in the school that played 19 musical instruments, like, you had to run cross country and do all of that. If you were the biggest jock athlete, like, you tried out for the choir and had to take 3 languages. It didn't matter. Like, rounded, right? Anyway, I was talking about my great-great-grandfather, right? And I told him that my background really wasn't Dutch South African. It was European South African. And in a way, it was like my great-grandfather was like a minority in South Africa. And
for sure. Back then, yeah, for sure.
so when they came there, when there was conflict in Europe, and I don't even know the year, and I need to touch up on this, but South Africa was like the prospecting days in the US. It was the Wild West, right? It was gold mining. It was a free-for-all. It was everything. And my great-grandfather came to South Africa with the shirt on his back, no money, but he was a farmer, and he was a wrestler, and he was a beast. And his value to these wealthy gold prospectors was when they would open a lot of land, which is literally like a race where they drop a rope and it's like, go stake your land,
right?
And whatever you stake is yours. Instead of these wealthy guys doing it and having to defend their land, they like paid my great-grandfather to go out there, stake the places they told him to stake, and then defend that place with his life, right? Like, they were fighting off people to like piss off, I staked this first. And then ultimately, whatever you staked off, you were allowed to mine. And so that's how he made a living to start, and he made enough to buy a farm, and the rest is, there's a whole story there. But it goes back to what you just said. When I think about that, it reminds me, it's like people see a Facebook post today and they're like distraught for a week. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, right. It wasn't that long ago that our ancestors were literally physically fighting for their lives to do things, and it didn't bother them at all, right? And so I'm not trying to be a Neanderthal. I'm not trying to say like we need to go back to barbaric times, but there's a balance between being understanding of people's feelings and just accepting anything. And I think it's
I think you've again on your page, as well as like your experience through apartheid, the whole deal, have created a very welcoming community culturally. We're 2 gringos talking about tequila. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
you're from South Africa.
Time, right? I have no problem with any belief you have, as long as you can.
Have you tried Leonista from South Africa?
I have. I don't want to talk about it on here because I'm a little tipsy.
Let's not do it.
I don't love it.
Okay, let's not do it. But for those of us,
I love what they're doing. I love the idea. I honestly get very excited about it. My dream is the Shavas and the Carloses and the Felipes of the world would like spend a month in South Africa with these guys and kind of blend and share their knowledge, because I think it's very, very close to being phenomenal. and there's just a few things that are keeping it good, but in that tier where there's, I mean, you know how it is, right? There's 10 new brands every day. And
Yes.
I think Leonista is good, but it falls into a category of good where there's 1,000 other brands.
Right. Just so anybody watching knows, there is blue Weber agave being grown in many other places around the world, one of which is South Africa. And there's a brand called Leonista that creates a distillate from it, a Blanco. Can't call it tequila because of the denomination of origin. That's important.
Well, it's not Weber Blue either. It's Americana.
Oh.
They make it from Americana, right? So it's technically a mezcal.
Okay. Technically not, because it's not the DO.
Agreed.
It's an agave distillate.
It's closer to a mezcal, if you want to say that, right?
It's a South African agave spirit, you know.
Yeah.
But I've wanted to try it. It sounds very interesting to me. I don't view it as a form of cultural appropriation because they're not calling it tequila. They're not calling it mezcal. I just want to try it. I think it'd be fun. I spent some time in Cape Town. Thought it was an amazing city. Super cool. Would love to spend more time down there. I was down there for a job with the North Face, shooting a big advertising campaign, yada yada. But man, oh man, what a cool city! So beautiful, so beautiful. The mountains. We'd wake up and the fog would just be rolling over the mountains, literally like rolling over the mountains and then just evaporate. It was so beautiful.
So
as a photographer, it was like
the famous landmark over there, the mountain. Table Mountain, which, you know, from the ocean, that literally looks flat. When you hike up there, you realize it's not flat on top at all, but it looks flat. And so when the fog rolls over in the morning, they call it like the table has a tablecloth on it, because literally, it looks like the tablecloth is over the mountain. Here's the crazy thing, right? I'm assuming you went up Table Mountain when you were in Cape Town.
It's like compulsory. You have to.
So
it's a rite of passage.
You know, like 300 people a year die on Table Mountain,
and you have to hike it. Otherwise,
but you
didn't really do it.
Like, there's no like actual mountain climbing aspect to it. Like,
well, there is.
Well, there's a few different ways.
If you want to get frisky, there is really good rock climbing.
Yeah, you can go straight up the North Face, and you're
I'm your man.
You did. But Plutterclip Gorge is the one that like everyone can just hike. It's about 2 to 3 hours. There's, it's a steep walk the whole way up the backside of the mountain. But the crazy thing is this, right? People don't estimate the wind, and people don't underestimate the fog. And so like 300 people a year die on Table Mountain because the fog comes in and you literally can't see your hand in front of your face, and they walk off an edge, right? And then the other aspect of it is like the people don't understand how strong the wind gusts get there. So they get up top and they're like on the edge and they're like, oh, I'm going to take a photo over here. And it's like a 3,000 foot drop over there. No big deal. You know, Grand Canyon type of thing. And it's not called the Windy City, Cape Town, for no reason, right? Yeah, wind gusts like 100 miles an hour. And see you later, dude.
That will knock you over.
Yeah, sure. So there's a YouTube video. Anyone who's still listening, at some point, Andy, this conversation is just going to turn to a FaceTime. But yes, there's a YouTube video. There's a famous cycling
transitioning just banter. It's just banter now.
Yeah, if you this is just a little insight to what a normal.
Well, hey, come back to the repo. I'm curious. Do you still have some in your glass?
No, I killed all the repo. I'm on lot 1. I'm back to lot 1.
Pour a little repo and let it sit for a minute. I'm curious.
No, you don't understand. It's gone. Like I drank the repo.
Copy. Okay.
I told you I've been looking forward to this for a couple of days. It's been a long week. So
this bottle right here, sealed, signed, delivered, has your name on it, brother.
All right, that's the dent in the one I opened tonight. This is lot 1. Lot 2 is below the label.
Nice.
And the mezcal is halfway through, to give you an idea of where I'm at right now. So
and so lot 1, lot 2, let's just say you're a discerning buyer. Let's say you go to siptequila.com, and in the I'm ordering tequila comments section, you want to say lot 1, lot 2. Which one would you buy? If you could only have one.
That's like asking me to pick my 2 children. Which one do you want?
Of course, you should buy both. But let's say you only get one.
So Rachel says, so you clearly like the repo. Yeah, that's a fair
Oh,
statement.
bring in Rachel. Let's bring her in. We should bring her in. She's in the other room. She's watching. Rachel, this is Andy from Wyoming.
She's
Bring
like,
it in. Let's do this.
I mean, she's probably about 3 weeks away from making it 3 kids. I don't think she wants to
Wow.
drink tequila.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, give her a couple months. I guarantee you she'll be on here. We'll be drinking it together.
Legend. Legend.
Okay, jokes aside, though, if you had to give me one, I'm going to call you out in front of everyone. You are wrong. I'm going to go with Lot 2.
Mm.
I like I like the bolder profile. I like more. I like the pepper on the back end of it. The
You know,
floral.
I'm pleased to hear that. It like literally gives me like, you have been a wanderer. It has been a journey, and your profile has changed.
It has
I
absolutely.
think that's really cool.
And I mean, if we want to go far enough back, I'm not kidding. There wasn't a time. There was a time I can still remember. It wasn't that many years ago, where all of this would have tasted like an ashtray to me. Like,
No, don't do that.
I mean, think about it, right? When you first drank tequila, and your idea of a good tequila was 1942.
Hold up, brother. This ain't an ashtray, dog. I don't care if you've never had tequila. This
Okay,
shit is good. I
hey,
mean, I have given this to people who are like, I don't like tequila. I'm like, that's fine. Try it anyway. And they're like, this doesn't taste like any tequila I've ever had. I'm like, yeah, I know. You should have more. They have more, and they're like, I love this. I'm like, yeah, I know. So it's not an ashtray. Stand by for 1 second. I'm going to stand up for the results from here. This is a sweet agave forward profile that will win hearts. And if you're a whiskey drinker who doesn't drink tequila, boom, we got you. We
yeah,
got you. There's
that's
some barrel
true.
notes here. There's a little bit of like the caramel, a little bit of the wood, not a lot of wood, but chocolate, coffee, like that warm, comforting thing. I feel like I'm going to drink that in like the wintertime for
But it's still a
sure.
tequila, and that's what I love about it, right? So like
Yes.
you're appealing to a whiskey drinker, but there's no doubt that it's a tequila. And a lot of
Yes.
people build these tequilas that are aimed at like the whiskey or cognac drinkers. I'm not gonna lie to you, I got duped once. I literally did a blind tasting with a port, a cognac,
Oh,
a bourbon, and a Scottish whiskey, and a
it's quite
tequila, an extra
quite a
añejo.
duping.
And I got it right, but I was like, I wouldn't have bet my life on it. Like I took a guess at one
Right.
point. Like I couldn't 100% determine what was the port and what was the tequila. It was nuts. And so different, still phenomenal drink, but just a different type of spirit, right?
Right.
Anyway, we're talking about Cape Town. You've been there. Not this is relevant to anything. I actually met someone yesterday, first person in my life, American, who visited Cape Town, who was like, I don't get it. Everyone said go to Cape Town. I was like, yeah,
What?
yeah,
They blew it. They blew it. I would not listen to that person.
yeah. I don't trust that guy for as
I
far
don't
as
trust their Yelp reviews either.
it
Sorry, not listening to you.
makes me question any type of Yelp review or Google review I've ever.
Right.
I'm like, well, there's people that don't like Cape Town, so
They
how do I
probably
really?
also hate Amsterdam and Berlin. They're also wrong. They're also wrong. Those are other great cities.
He's like, I don't get it. It was another city. I'm like, oh, like with the best seafood in the world and mountains and beaches and
Yeah,
everything,
penguins,
perfect weather.
rock
And
climbing, surfing. What do you want? Incredible
yeah.
food, culture. Like, get out of here. You're done. You're
So,
done.
so when you were in Cape Town, did you end up doing any shark diving or no?
No, we did shoot off the coast northeast of there. I think it's a town called George. Does that sound right?
Yeah, George is like further east.
Right, like 3 hours, two, three
Yep.
hours or something. We went and we shot on a boat in George in a bay there. And we did actually shoot in shark cages. There were not sharks, thank you. But we did shoot in
Wait,
shark
hold on
cages
1 second. What do you mean?
outside of George.
Like you would be worried about sharks?
I mean, dude, you guys have great whites. It's a different story, right? Like, so I shot some stories where gray tip reef sharks were around us all the time and
That's
circling.
that's not a shark. That's a
No
fish.
factor. Basically a cat. Basically a cat. Let's be honest. Even with like bleeding fish in the water, basically a cat. It's fine. You're a tabby. Go away. But gray whites are different, man. South Africa's different, man. There's a vibe. There's
So
like there's a harder vibe down there where you're like, Okay, our boat captain. Okay, here's the story. Our boat captain, and I don't know if you follow surfing at all. Our boat captain was the one who pulled Mick Fanning out of the water when a great white shark attacked him during a surfing competition.
Hey, 16-year-old Nick used to have a subscription to Zigzag. Just to back
Yes,
to that. All right,
yes.
carry on.
So like, it's real. Like, I mean, it's real. And I acknowledge it's cold water. There's sharks. There's seals with their heads bitten off on the shore. Got it. I don't need to push anybody's buttons.
So you see, that's what I love about, like, again, I'm gonna go back to, like, I love these tequila talks because it's about people, right? And I love how I told you I'm shit scared of heights. So half the stuff you do with your climbing and your hiking, I'm like, I'm out. But like, it doesn't bother me being. I just grew up where I'm like, the great whites are just part of. They're there.
But
So
you're comfortable in the bush where I would
exactly
shit my
right. So
pants.
here's an example. Like, so someone here, not too far from us here in Dallas,
You're
lost.
good with like wildebeest, and I would be like running.
Someone here in Dallas last week had, like, I guess illegally had a very venomous cobra from Western Africa
Oh,
as a pet, and it got out. So it was kind of news, and people were like,
questionable, questionable.
one of the Instagram pages that reports, like, Dallas News was like, oh, the whole of North Texas is concerned about this snake. And I'm like, hold on a second. Like, the whole of North Texas? I'm like, you wouldn't survive. Like, anytime you leave asphalt and you're in some type of bush back home, you're at risk of running into a mamba or a spitting cobra or a
And that's why
python.
we don't watch mainstream news.
Exactly. Right? But so I'm shit scared of heights, but I kind of grew up, sharks were just a thing, right? And so my closest experience with a great white, I was 16, and so I played water polo at the time. My dad was an Olympian swimmer, well, South African swimmer, um, and I used to swim a lot, and I used to paddleboard. I don't know what Americans call it, but it's not a canoe. It's like you're on top of it, like on top of the kayak. It's almost like a paddleboard. You're sitting on it, and you're with paddles, right? And so in my home beach, my home bay in Fishhook, which is in False Bay. And for reference, everyone's seen the National Geographic where the great whites are like coming out the water 15 feet. That's False Bay. Seal Island, False Bay, that's our bay. But naively, right? Like, that's where we grew up. And so Seal Island was 5 kilometers away, and the sharks fucking stayed at Seal Island. Like, don't worry
Right,
about it. And I was
right.
16 and I was paddling out. I was probably about 500 yards from the beach. And I went out there because there was a really cool sailboat that was out with, like, some people and some really good looking girls, and they were having champagne. They were like outside and I went paddling out there, 16 years old, and just kind of said hi. And it's kind of cool. You didn't see that boat in the bay very often. And I was just turning around 500 yards from the beach, and I felt the back of my kayak bump.
Oh,
And I was like, okay, like, choppy water or whatever it is. And I kind of look back over my right shoulder, and I just see this fin that's like 2 feet out the water, just like disappear. And so you're supposed to, hardboards like the kayak and surfboards and stuff, you're supposed to 100 yards from the actual sand exit sideways onto the rocks and out onto the catwalk, so you're not where the kids and families are swimming, like
right.
hardboards coming in.
Save the children. Save the children.
I beached that fucking thing at like 20 miles an hour onto the sand, like 500 yards. I just rode the waves in. I was like, my life flashed before me. I rode the waves in. I went that thing like 20 yards up the sand, like arms were going to explode, shoulders out of breath, fell over on the sand like going to die. But I was done.
In
Like, when you glance over, you're that far from the beach, and like literally 2 feet is close to my head height in the. So yeah, interesting, but kind of just like a part of what people in Cape Town, it's just what you deal with.
and like I referenced earlier, I think like that hardship breeds um, a level of patience and acceptance, and that's an incredible story, man. You got to tell more of that stuff. That's super cool. I mean,
I
it's
need
not
to get at least six,
cool,
7 the fun.
but it gives us insight into like who you are, and like that's. I think it's amazing. I don't even think people know you're from South Africa. They're like, "Oh, this blonde guy from Texas." A couple gringos banging on about tequila. It's like No, like, people from different cultures talking about these incredible spirits. It's cool to hear those stories.
And so it's kind of a subject I bring up on almost all of these lives, right? It's this page has the thing I love about this page the most is like how far and wide it's kind of spread the agave net and the love for agave spirits. And so I haven't done it tonight because we got carried away, but I normally ask, like, people need to let me know where you're joining from and what you're drinking. And because I love seeing all the different countries, all the different parts of the US, Mexico, South America, Canada, Northern America. I love seeing how far and wide this page like brings people together around a mutual love for agave spirits.
I'm curious if anybody has some wild common in their glass. Who's got wild common in their glass? Raise your hand.
So I don't know if you're hearing me loud and clear. That's great, Andy. I think your picture's a little your Jackson Hole Wi-Fi's doing its job as expected. It lasted this long. I hear you. Your picture's just frozen. Chad from Katie, I love it. I see your comment in there. But yeah, guys, if you're drinking Wild Common, let us know. Otherwise, let us know where you're joining from. I love just seeing where everyone. Peru, yes. I love it. Look, see, that's exactly why I do this. Andy, Ellen,
I'm still
and,
frozen. I see my frozen face here.
all good. I love it. So I've got Peru stories that could probably last a whole pod, like they're a whole episode on their own, but that's awesome. I love it. Peru, phenomenal. Lima, DC, Peru. Oh, we're getting the clap. We're getting applause for Peru, Minnesota. I mean, that if that's not a perfect example of what I'm talking about, right? Look at that. Like Peru, Minnesota, DC, Dallas, back to back to back. That just says it all, right? Like this page and this platform and this love for agave spirits just kind of there's no pattern to it, right? It's cool. Just brings people together, and it's the best thing about this page. So I don't know if we're losing Andy, if we're going to ever get him back. So we might have
I
to.
don't know. I mean, I'm certainly here via audio. The video seems to be a no-go. I don't know if
Oh,
we
well,
can
did you know
connect again.
look at? So if you could just stay on audio, that's perfect.
No, I'm reading through some of the comments. Chad Frost, saying he's sipping in Texas, looking at Mission 1530. When's the repo coming out? That'll be out in September. We've got some pallets coming in September. Chad Frost is,
Here, Jace.
yeah, make him jealous. Oh, here we go. Lucas asks about the denomination of origin within Mezcal. Is it hurting the industry in Mexico? I think so. Yes, Lucas. I think it is. I think the DO is not allowing certain people to be able to produce the family spirits that they've been making for generations, and I think that's bullshit. What else? I'm just going up in the comments now, and fire away if you have other questions
Well,
for me.
hey, maybe we need a new category of agave spirits, Andy.
R. Curry, are you British? Nope. I'm from Wyoming, lady. In what states is Wild Common available? ECS 45237. Siptequila.com is where it's available.
Yeah, guys. So the link to Wild Common is in my bio. If you go to the homepage, the web address in my bio should take you straight to siptequila.com. I can't promise it. I think it was $5 off for a little while. It might still be there. It might not. Don't tell anyone. I think they might have messed up. My link might still be the old pricing. I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But if you need to get hold of Wild Common, siptequila.com. My friends over there, they do a phenomenal job. Like, I don't know anyone who their customer service is phenomenal. They have a great selection, curated different tequila brands, Wild Common being a perfect example. Fast shipping. I've never had
Why do I have no video, dude? I
phenomenally.
have no video. I'm just a robot. I'm frozen.
Well, it could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. But yes, go on. Sip tequila is the best.
Oh, there we go. Our courier Rachel in the other room. She wants to make sure you know that, Andy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nope, I didn't know that. That is good information to know, Rach. Mom.
About tequila, about wild common, about non-tequila items, feel free to shoot them in the chat. Um, I don't know, Andy. As much as we love your audio, I think we might have to wrap it for tonight, and maybe
I
we'll
think
do
so.
that. So look, let me for the people that joined just recently and haven't been a part of this whole thing, right, guys? Wild Common Spirits, Blanco Tequila. It's now available at siptequila.com. Link is in my bio. Arguably one of the best Blancos I've ever drank. Andy, always a pleasure chatting to you, my friend. We need to do it in person, so the invite is open. Whenever you want to come to Dallas, we'll do it in this office. Dude, we'll drink anything and everything. We'll let people on the live choose what we sip and talk about. But
Yeah, no, let's do it in
can't wait to
person
do it
because
in person.
then there's no excuse for the bad Wi-Fi from the mountains of Wyoming.
Nope, that'll be it. And likewise,
Oh, and you'll have a little baby. You'll have a baby by then.
there we go. And likewise, once those little babies are old enough to be with someone else, we're coming to visit you in Jackson Hole.
Bring it. Bring the kids, man. We'll get them on horses. Let's go riding.
Those horses are going to regret me ever bringing them, I promise.
Well, I'm sorry I'm frozen, but thank you to everybody that's tuned in. We didn't get to all the questions in the comments for sure, but let's do another one. We should do another one in person,
Easy.
and I think it'd be cool to like hammer on some of the questions that people have, just to like give insight into the brand and to like who you are, some of the storytelling that you're doing about your background in South Africa, as well as where we're going. And then
Here,
I
here's,
really care about the sustainability stuff.
hey, here's what I'll give to you guys. Go to siptequila.com, get yourself some wild common. Andy and I will give it a couple weeks. We'll do it again. We'll pre-drink to make sure we're at kind of this level of entertainment before we even start. But then all of you guys will be drinking the exact same thing we're drinking with us, and we'll be way more interactive. We can split screen 4 ways with random people. Whoever's got wild common in front of them.
Oh, we should set a date. Let's do it. Like,
yeah, like
I
an
will
open
come.
mic night for tequila drinking if you want.
I'm coming to Texas. I'm coming to Texas. Stand by.
I love it.
Let's set a date, man. Let's do it. And if we can give people who are watching enough of a heads up to actually get, the order in and
Yeah.
have some juice and like sip with, that'd be super fun. We got to get Chava in there. He'll pipe in for sure. But let's do it, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Done. All right, guys. Happy Thursday. I love all of you. Again, this page is only as good as you guys who follow it. Wild Common Spirits, go get some. If you don't like it, you can send it to me. I promise you I'll find a good use for it. Andy, I can't see you, but I can hear you. As always, my friend, salute. We'll do it again.
And to you, Nick, man, we all appreciate you. We're all learning more and more about the world of agave. Thanks to you. And keep up the storytelling, man. I like the banter. Like, your background and asking me questions about, some of the harrowing experiences I've had. Like, that stuff's just fun. But shoot, man, thank you for, all your hard work and, the commitment you've made to this like community that you've built. It's awesome, man. Respect. Salud.
The best. Salute, my friend. Happy Thursday. Keep wondering, drink Mexican. We will do it again very, very soon.